Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is about acute ataxia in children. Ataxia is the inability to make smooth, accurate and coordinated movements, usually because of dysfunction of cerebellum, its input or outputs, sensory pathway in the posterior column of the spinal cord, or a combination of these. Ataxia may be generalized or primarily affect gait or hands and arms or trunk. Ataxia may be acute or chronic. Signs and symptoms of ataxia include clumsiness, difficult walking or sitting, falling to one side, slurred speech, hypotonia, intention tremor or dizziness. Now the causes of acute ataxia in children. First is drug ingestion. History is essential in clarifying this presentation. A toxicology screen should be obtained in all children presenting with acute ataxia. Toxic causes of ataxia include alcohol, benzodiazepine, anticonvulsant, particularly phenytoin and carbamazepine. Other toxic causes are antihistamines or thallium, which is occasionally used in pesticides. Treatment depends on the particular toxin. All medications in the home should be noted and accounted for. Second important cause of acute ataxia in children is post-infectious cerebralitis. It occurs primarily in children 1 to 3 years of age, and it is a diagnosis of exclusion. It often follows a viral illness such as varicella, Coxsackie virus or echovirus infection by 2 to 3 weeks. It represents an autoimmune response to the viral agent which is affecting the cerebellum. Post-infectious cerebralitis is sudden in onset. Truncal ataxia can be so severe that the child is unable to stand or sit. Vomiting may occur initially. Fever and nuchal rigidity are absent. Horizontal nystagmus is evident in approximately 50% of cases. Dysarthria may be impressive. In post-infectious cerebralitis, cerebrospinal fluid is typically normal at the onset of ataxia, or there may be mild lymphocytic pleocytosis. Later in the course, CSF protein undergoes a moderate elevation. Ataxia begins to improve in a few weeks, but may persist for as long as 3 months and rarely longer than that. Prognosis for complete recovery in post-infectious cerebralitis is excellent. However, a small number have long-term sequelae, including behavior and speech disorders, as well as ataxia and incoordination. Third important cause of acute ataxia in children is acute cerebralitis. It is a severe form of cerebellar ataxia, and causes include Epstein-Barr virus, mycoplasma, mumps, influenza virus, or autoimmune cerebralitis. Patient present with severe ataxia, increased intracranial pressure from obstructive hydrocephalus, headache and fever. MRI scan is usually abnormal and there is poor long-term prognosis. Fourth important cause of acute ataxia in children is brainstem encephalitis. In this, ataxia may be the first sign. Cranial nerve abnormalities often coexist along with the other sign of encephalitis, which include meningismus, change in the mental status, and seizures. Diagnosis depend on a cellular CSF response, and treatment is usually supportive. Another cause of acute ataxia in children is a metabolic cause. Patients with hypoglycemia, hyponatremia, and hyperammonemia may all present with ataxia. Another cause of acute ataxia in children is neuroblastoma. Patient may initially present with ataxia or chaotic eye movements. This eye abnormality is known as opsoclonus or dancing eye movements. Patient may later develop myoclonic encephalopathy. Typical age of presentation is 1 month to 4 years. Symptoms appear to be result of a disimmune state. All patients with opsoclonus should be thoroughly evaluated for occult neuroblastoma with full body imaging and measurement of urinary homovanillic acid and vanillyl mandelic acid. Neuroblastoma, if found, should be surgically removed and treated. ACTH and steroids have also been used to treat these symptoms. Now, seventh cause is brain tumors. Brain tumors usually cause chronic ataxia in children. However, if a tumor bleeds or causes hydrocephalus, child may present acutely. Acute ataxia may be caused by trauma. It may follow even mild head injuries, and it is the most typical post-concussive symptom in small children. Diagnosis depends on the clinical context. Imaging may be normal or show evidence of axonal injury. Symptoms usually clear within 1 to 6 months. Another traumatic cause of acute ataxia is trauma to the vertebro-basilar system. This may occur with sports-related injuries or chiropractic manipulation. Symptoms are noted shortly after injury. History and examination typically reveal signs and symptoms of ipsilateral cerebellar and brainstem disturbance. Imaging may show infarction in the cerebellar hemisphere and medulla. Now, acute ataxia in children may be caused by vascular lesions leading to cerebellar hemorrhage. In the absence of an underlying coagulation disorder, cerebellar hemorrhage in children is usually due to an arteriovenous malformation. This cerebellar arteriovenous malformation may present with headache and ataxia. Another cause of acute ataxia in children is Kawasaki disease. It is a systemic illness that may include multiple brain infarcts, potentially causing acute ataxia. Diagnosis depends on appropriate constellation of signs and symptoms of this disease. At number 11 is polyradiculopathy. Disease of the peripheral nervous system can also cause acute ataxia. Guillain-Barré syndrome and tic paralysis are two common diseases of children that may present as acute ataxia, although most likely as a secondary effect of overt weakness. Another cause of acute ataxia is biotinidase deficiency. Onset of symptoms is usually in the newborn period. Ataxia may be present at any point in the course of this rare disease. Initial features are usually seizures and hypotonia. Diagnosis is suspected when ketoacidosis, hyperammonemia, and organic aciduria are present. It is confirmed by demonstrating biotinidase deficiency in the serum, and treatment is with biotin. Another important cause of acute ataxia is conversion reaction. Children may manifest gait disturbance in response to underlying psychological stresses. The so-called hysterical gait is often quite dramatic, involving extraordinary balance. Physical examination is entirely normal in this case. Diagnosis is based on history and an otherwise normal physical examination. Treatment is aimed at elucidating underlying psychological stressors. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.